Come on to my kitchen. Saluti. We're moving into mid-August here in Zone 5, and the past few episodes, or a few episodes recently, I've taken you folks out to the garden with me. Picked some fresh produce, prepped it up. The gardens are banging right now. It's prime season, but I'm not going to drag you out there. Not taking you with me. You wouldn't enjoy it. We've had mid-90 degree weather for about a week now. The mosquitoes are just voracious and outrageous. So I picked everything we need for tonight, and we'll just go to the counter and see what it is. Tonight's episode is called Size Don't Matter. We're talking about zucchini. Alright, here's these 3 zucchini, all off the exact same plant at 3 different times of their growing stage. That one on the left, I love them when they're this size, and there's only one thing to do with these. Fresh off the plant. It's bursting with energy, and the flavor is just unbelievable. By the time they get to here, this is actually pretty perfect too. This is the size you'll see in Adams, ShopRite. But by the time they get to those stores, they're weeks old. Fresh off the plant, I mean, the moisture that's in there that dries out almost immediately, you can't compare. What I'm going to do with this one, I don't know. I like to grate these up maybe, saute them with a little olive oil, a little garlic, put it over pasta. And here's the little globe zucchini. They're at about the same stage in the growth area, so these are fantastic also. So same thing, well, you can cut this into little rounds, saute them. Then you get this. These are the guys that are hiding underneath the foliage that you don't see immediately. And then suddenly it's like, I don't know, kind of looks like the Loch Ness Monster. But that's not a bad size. This is what we're going to use tonight. And I got a few nice things to do with it. Now, there are times, depending on how many hills you plant and how many, I mean, I've had them, you know, I don't mean to sound like a fisherman, but you forget about them and they come off the plant like that. By then, you're not really eating them. You can't cook them. They're just too woody. But what I've done, if they're that big, is you can cut them lengthwise, right down the center, or I guess it would be this way, scoop them out, and I brought them to a barbecue or whatever, you know, filled with something. Usually like a scapeche of the younger zucchini. But you could put coleslaw, macaroni salad. They make just a great. You shave a little off the bottom so it sits flat. It's cut in half. You scoop it out. It's a serving bowl. Better than just throwing it in the compost right away. You might as well get a little fun out of it, right? When they get really huge, I mean, just out of control where you're not doing, you know, I've forgotten about them. I'm not even joking. I'm not exaggerating. There's nothing you can do with them at that point except, I don't know, maybe give them to Denise for a birthday present. But that's a whole nother episode. Somebody got that line. So let's go to the board and prep these guys up. I'll show you what we're doing. We're going to use that one size. So here's tonight's supper. Like I told you, I spared you guys the trip to the garden, but there's plenty out there to be thankful for. I harvested all the garlic about a month ago, and it's curing up. This is a little runt. Didn't really go anywhere. But these small cloves, I'll just use the whole head for the dish. Perfect. Here's the zucchini we talked about. It's actually kind of beautiful. A little larger than, you know, you would really get it, but there's great things to do with this, which you're going to see in a minute. Tomatoes are, you know, just slamming. Sun Gold, Black Cherry. There's one I call Borghese. I lost track of it. I had the seeds, but I call it Borghese for my own identification. And of course, some fresh basil. So let's get to it. First thing I'm going to do, we did a whole garlic thing. You know the whole rigmarole. So rather than do this on camera, I'll do the garlic off camera. The cherry tomatoes, I like to just halve them this way, right through the stem end. for this particular sauce, just cut them in half. All right, let me finish these up, and I'll see you all at the stove. Black cherry. These things have deep flavor. I got the seeds for these from Zach's grandma. Been propagating them ever since. That was, I don't know, it was at least 5 years ago, probably longer. Now, the first thing I'm going to do with this beauty, I'm going to cut off the two ends. I'm going to cut some nice little rounds. We'll see what I'll do with these in a minute. I got, again, this is total improv. I just start seeing things on the plate pretty much when, well, it happens to me a lot while I'm picking this stuff right out of the garden. I just start visualizing stuff. The way I'm going to do this, I'm going to take this, because I don't want that curve in the neck. So this can go in a little Ziploc baggie. That's fine. That'll get used for a breakfast or something. So here's what I have left. I've got my 3 rounds and this nice, you know, semi-straight piece. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this down the middle. A long way. Okay? I have 2 halves. And then I'm going to get my little mandolin style device here. I've had a million of these different utensils over the years. This is the one I have left. I had another one that I kind of wish I had for this because it had different kind of blades that came out. And that one would have been perfect for this. But I got rid of it. I was glad to see it go. And then, you know, every now and then, once in a while, I kind of wish I had it back in my life. But enough about my relationships. Let's get back to the food. Always use this thing. I've had altercations with devices like this over the years. Always use the safety device, please. So I got this blade in here. Let's see if it works for what I want. Alright, let's check it out. I want to do kind of like noodles, and I think it's perfect. Alright, so let me finish this up. I'll do the rest of this zucchini. We've got our 3 little rounds, and then we'll start putting together a nice little dish. Alright, it's getting late on a Saturday night. Haven't even eaten yet. Let's get some flames on. You can probably hear the crickets and frogs and whatever else is outside through the window. All the windows are open. Breezes are coming through. Man, it's been brutal for a week. Feels great tonight. Fresh picked, everything. You got the cast iron on, little extra virgin olive oil. Now, I did the garlic 2 ways. And I did it before I prepped everything else. You remember our episode, Create That Allison. So I did this about 15 minutes ago. And in this cast iron, I am going to saute off the rounds that we cut. So I'm going to add the sort of whole, it's just smashed, to get the juices out. Because I'm going to take that out. Alright, I don't want little bits of chopped garlic in this particular one. I do have the chopped for the tomatoes. But in here, I just wanted to flavor my oil a little bit. And for that very same reason, instead of crushed red pepper flakes, I'll take one of these pepperoncini, just tear it in half, knock a couple of the seeds out, and I'll just throw that in whole. Now, be careful after you do that. Don't be touching your eyeball. Something I've done a couple of 100,000 times in my life. Just a little garlic, a little pepperoncini, flavoring that oil. And now what I'm going to do, take my zucchini rounds, no seasoning or anything, just these are right off the plant. We'll salt them, we'll pepper them, but let's just cook them right off the stalk. Alright, I can already tell by the sound that oil's a tad hot. I'm going to turn this down. Now, while those are going, get a flame in the back and get our sauce going. These beautiful 3 different varieties of cherry tomato. Sun Gold, Black Cherry, and the anonymous, hither to be known as Borghese. So in the back pan, again, just a touch of oil. Add this garlic, which is chopped, and will remain in the dish. Saluti. Getting a nice sizzle on that garlic in the back. Let's toss in the other piece of that pepperoncini we tore in half. Why not? Want not, waste not. Waste not, want not. Whatever it is. In with the cherry tomatoes. These things cook down quickly into the most delicious and beautiful salsa cote. So that's just tomatoes, garlic and oil, a little pinch of salt on there. Tomatoes always love sale. Sorry, doctor. Just a touch of black pepper. Now let's see how our zucchini's doing here. Starting to soften up, which is what we want. See, now the garlic's getting a little brown. I don't want it to impart any bitter flavors, so I'm going to yank it. Gave what it needed to the oil. And now it's just our zucchini in the flavored oil. I also yanked out that pepperoncini. So it's just the oil and the zucchini now. I'm going to turn it down, because that's sauteing pretty well. Tomatoes are cranking along. Let's add a little basil now and then save some for the end. Because you put some of your green herb in the beginning and it cooks in with the dish. But then you add fresh more at the end. That combination is unbeatable. This is what we call depth of flavor. Building it in. Alright, so the tomatoes with the salt will let out their own juice to cook this in. Occasionally I'll splash a little white wine or whatever. But this is such a garden-centric meal that I don't want too many outside influences. And by the way, it's the first nice night in like a week. All the windows are open. The back door is open. The dog's standing on the back porch now. So I just saw a fly. It's midsummer. You guys have no idea what I go through editing out bugs flying through the kitchen and whatnot. I'm done. It's mid-August. The doors are open. The windows are open. It feels amazing. If a fly flies through frame, I'm leaving it. I'm leaving it. Deal with it. See these things letting that juice out? It's becoming a sauce now. Cherry tomatoes. It's been less than 5 minutes. With the zucca. 3 nice little rounds. I had this vision in my head. Wait, we'll put it on the plate. You'll see what I'm doing. Sauce is looking nice. Now, one of the reasons I love cooking like this is because I added a little bit of water to the cherry tomatoes, just as sort of a binder. Look, they're cooking down into a nice little marinara sauce. One of the reasons I love cooking like this is things change as you go along and you just think of stuff. I told you the garden's banging. These brandywines are in. Now a lot of them are getting stem rot because of this late season rain. But there's plenty of good fruit out there as well. So here's what I'm going to do. 1, 2, 3. I'm going to take 3 slices of this ripe brandywine. And I have this little heel of fresh mozzarella left over. Come on, let's go. I'm doing sort of a, it's like Napoleon style. Now I'm not even seasoning it. You know what? My doctor doesn't want me to have too much salt. There's so much flavor here. Salt does pull flavor. You know, I put some in the cherries. It's a flavor enhancer and magnifier, but not always entirely necessary. Little tower, right? Little Napoleon tower. Zucchini, nicely caramelized, by the way. Brandywine tomato, ripe off the vine. And a little fresh mozzarella. So let's do this. Let's cover this. I've got the heat dropped. It's low. The zucchini's cooked. We're just going to go for that meltage now. Now while we're doing that, let's flip these. Put our Napoleon on the back burner, so to speak. Bring the sauce up here. Let's check our heat levels, because remember we were doing 2 different things. Going to turn down the Napoleon and back. Bring this up just a tad. Okay, now let's talk about this zucchini. I made that ridiculous joke about my relationships and whatnot, but it was in regards to this mandolin that I had inherited from Vincenzo, and it had this awesome blade thing that you would flip, and it had different shapes and different cuts. And with that thing, I could make the most awesome long, it'd be like almost spaghetti or linguine, but out of this. This blade was a little different. This was a shredder, but I put it through sort of a long shred. So, my point being, if I had the long pasta-like zucchini noodles, I would have a pot of boiling water on here and it would go in as if it was a pasta, but just for like 30 seconds. As it is, this is shredded so much, I'm not even going to cook it. I'm going to dump it right in. I almost thought about putting it on the plate raw and putting the cherry tomatoes over it, but quick toss will warm it through. So this is the raw shredded zucchini. Okay, so it's just like a little raw toss. Let's see how the Napoleon looks. We're getting some meltage. I'm going to jack the heat just by a hair. And then I can start plating the zucchini while that melts down. I'll crank this heat up a little too and just give everything a final blast while I grab a plate. Alright, here's how I want to do this whole deal. This is the zucchini, shredded. Could have been noodles, but it's sort of a shredded, I don't know. It's a gloppy kind of thing. So, you want to adjust your vision on the plate to what you wind up with in the pan. I didn't know it was going to be this consistency. Almost like a weird pasta or risotto-y kind of thing, right? But if we put next to it its cousin, all the king's horses and all the king's men. Let's try to put this thing back together again. There it goes. You want that stack. It's a Napoleon. Yeah. That piece is going to ruin, this pizza mozzarella is going to ruin the presentation. So let's just get rid of it along with that. So let's just push this in, right? Make a little stack there. Do a little cleanup on the plate. Eat first with eyes, grasshopper. So now let's just top it up with a little fresh basil leaf. Let's give this a try. Well, there was a little zucchini left. I know I said it probably didn't need the grated cheese. But I'm not so hard-headed to stand by my own convictions, without at least testing them. Didn't need it. Kills with it.